Greetings and salutations, my fellow Americans. The Crappy Carpenter here. Let's see what we can do next. Well, what we are doing next is the base of this hutch that I was working on in the last episode. I have a jig all set up. I have a bunch of clamps here holding this jig in place. They call it a jig, which makes pocket holes. We're going to try to make pocket holes so that we can put our supports for our hutch inside the frame instead of putting the boards inside or out of the frame. And let's see how that looks. I already did some practicing here. And I think I got about an inch from the bottom of the board seems to work for this particular one. And I had one secure in here and took it apart because I want to use it later. But we're all set up for this jig cut. So let's give this a start. First we're going to drill the holes. Get this a little tighter. Let's try it again. There we go. I'm going up and down several times because that helps get the dust, what you just chewed up, out of the hole so that you can go in deeper. I'm just going to verify that this first hole went in as deep, and it has. Okay, so we'll take this off of here. Only enough so that holes down there. Yeah, and this is the bottom of the board. That matches up to about the length we had from here to here, about an inch. So I'm going to put this back on. It's important to note that I added this big board here as my backstop for my clamps. Okay, now these holes are a good start, but they're really not deep enough. I'm not sure if I'm not doing it right, or I want it deeper for these screws because these screws have to go in pretty far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my quick connect on so I can quickly change things out. Put on a drill bit to drill further using the guide that we already started. And do it at as much of an angle as we can. There. Now, we're going to get our bit for our pocket holes. I bought this pocket hole kit. It didn't come with the screws. I got them at a box store, but they're called pocket screws. And they seem to go in better than, when I was testing it, they seem to go in better than the other screws, than the standard screws. These are designed to go in pocket holes. Not as flush as I'd like, but pretty good. And I think it went in all the way, yeah. And because I drilled that hole deep, with that second drill bit, I should have should be nice and deep enough to get enough of this wood into there. Okay, let's take this off a minute. Okay, you take this off. Seems pretty stable to me. Well, yep. On the other hand, not too sure about that. Might not be in deep enough. That's what happens when you're trying something for the first time. Because this way to this way is fine, but this way to this way seems to move. Yeah, we're going to have to revisit this. Yeah, don't know. Let's take this off a minute. Let's see. Well, we're going to put a backing plate on here, and that will give some extra stability. I'm not very happy with how that's working. Let's see. Let's see if I got the height wrong or... yeah. We'll have to see about that. So, let's get this reclamped. Let's see. I had to test it out. It seemed to work when I did it the first time. So, you might go further, but I was also using different screws, but I did try it with the pocket screws. It seemed to do the trick. So we're going to try going down a little further on this next board, mounting our pocket puller a little bit further down. These screws seem to go that's the angle it was. If you go here, it's going to go sharper angle, but we'll see. It won't hurt to try it. Down a little further this time. And if that's the case, then I'm going to redo this hole and we'll see from there. I practiced this quite a bit, so I'm a little disappointed that it's not where I want it. But it could be worse. It usually is worse, but let's try this. That's why I'm a crappy carpenter. I mean, I don't. Try putting this down a little further this time. Okay, I got to readjust my clamp here. You don't want the clamp at near the highest setting when you're setting it. And I'll show you that later. Okay, I'm going to try to get it clamped. To the right hole. Just a second, I need to get a board, a short board. The back of my clamp, I have this extra board here, but I don't have anything here. In the back of the clamp, it's going a little bit higher than the top of the board. So I'm just going to improvise a little bit here because I'm already holding the board in, the frame and all that jazz. So don't have to have this in place. Just Just have to hold it in place. This clamp is holding this whole outfit to this board. So this clamp doesn't have to hold this onto here, as long as it's just got to hold this thing from coming loose. And since I've got this clamp holding this and this part of the board in, it should work pretty good. Now, I want it a little bit lower maybe. Okay, that should do. I gotta clamp this in tight because this thing shifts around like crazy if you don't have it in tight. This clamp is not enough to hold it in place. I thought this cheap Walmart clamp would work. It doesn't, but it does good for holding the boards in other places. So we're still using it. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, here we go.